Push the chair out.
Yeah, but you can't put it down.
Yeah. There you go.
I'll just lean.
You got a long ways to wait.
I know. 10 days of cold.
Yeah, calls meeting to order. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Gibbia. Fry.
Present.
Roller.
Here.
Hughes.
Present.
Bikeman.
Present.
Price. Barons. Here. Trump.
Here.
7.
All right. 4. Okay, first up, we have minutes. Does anybody have changes, additions?
Move to approve minute.
Second. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next up, we have public comment. Is anybody here for the public comment?
Good evening, Michelle Weitzel here with Greg Boss. Michelle Weitzel here with Greg Boss. I apologize for not being on your agenda tonight. I was tardy with my information, but also we've got maybe a little waiting on some details was kind of confidential prior to now. I have been contacted by the coordinators. Greg and I have been contacted by the coordinators for Boss Nationals. As you know, they were supposed to be here in 2020. And it was canceled. They had plans to go to Davenport, Iowa in 2021. The place that they were holding it at is a COVID vaccination site and will remain that way through the rest of the year. They have requested that I come before you tonight to ask if they could hold their event in Marysville, August 26th through 28th. I better pull up my notes so I'm telling you all the correct things. It would be a similar format to the previous event that we had here in 2018. They would have a car show, so to say, probably some sort of swap meet like they've had in the past for parts and things like that. They request to have a band for all 3 nights. I think that's like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then obviously they'll have food vendors and things like that will be outdoor like that. They will not be with that capacity anyways. We wouldn't be able to accommodate a large banquet space for them, but they do not plan to be in sort of indoor space at that time. I had waited to come before you all because I knew you guys were talking about events at a previous council meeting. I will let Greg comment maybe more. I'm not a car person, so I can't comment too much on that, but Greg,
Well,
I feel unprepared.
basically, I mean, as you know, that at one time, Boss Motors was here for 81 years, but no longer here. But Rick Wybara from Davenport, Iowa, is the one that is wanting to do this again in Marysville. And I think if you ask any business person or any person, hotels, whatever, around, I think you'll find that they were extremely happy with the way the turnout was in 2018. I personally was disappointed when I found out it was going to be in Davenport this year, but because that got canceled, because they can't have it there, I was extremely happy to have it back again in Marysville. And so I guess my request would be basically is to be able to block the streets off like we did last time from 4th Street to 10th Street, and then a couple of the blocks, I mean, in other words, obviously off the highway 36 and to Seventh Street, to Elm Street, you know, for at least a couple blocks. I'm not real sure, for sure where, but for sure, Sixth Street, Seventh Street, and probably Eighth Street. We wouldn't do the post office, we'd go to the alley like we did last time, so.
And we don't have any sort of formal request, obviously. Rick just said, hey, like, this, I need to know because I need to find a place. We have people interested and we're holding an event, you know, with COVID precautions in mind and things like that. And he will prepare a document as, you know, details unfold, with specific closures and requests and things like that. He'll have to have some sort of license, I'm sure, or a permit for, you know, to have a beer bin and stuff like that, and wanting to get that information out to the businesses too. But he just said, I've got to have a yay or nay so I know. He's like, I want you to be ready to send me all the motels and all the restaurants and everything to put on the website. And I just said, I can't send you anything quite yet, so.
Do you have any idea if the numbers will be pretty similar to what you think, or down, or up? I could see that.
We had 300 last
We
time.
had 370-some thousand, or 370 cars last time. Rick, for some reason, because it's the anniversary of the 71 Boss 351, which is what I have, thinks it's gonna be, he thinks, close to 1,000 cars. I personally don't believe that with the COVID going on and stuff like that, but anything's possible.
And I
mean,
did-
How do we know?
I did tell him specifically on our main street, we can't accommodate 1,000 cars. You know, they can get like, you know, 350 just for the car show and don't cross the highway. And we could probably, assuming it was okay, to use some of the 7th Street corridor, et cetera. You know, I think this goes to show that they enjoyed their time last year. They were treated really well. And, you know, I advocated for us to get it again. And I said, you know, I'm glad you guys can have it in Davenport, but don't forget about us. Like, come back. And I think this shows that we've kept that relationship open and, you know.
What was the date again?
August 26th through 28th. It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I don't have it open, but it sounds like that might be the weekend before Labor Day. And it'd be a couple weekends then, 2 weekends before, Gravel Dash half marathon weekend. As of right now, I don't feel like, I've consulted with the community calendar and I don't feel like there's any sort of, conflict.
It was quite a success last time, no question about it. And you can't believe the people that have come to me personally and just said, you know, I can't believe that we're not doing it again, you know, this year. I mean, because of the COVID crap that went on last year, you know, but, they're really, I think, if we announce it, it's gonna happen. I think it's gonna be big. I mean, on Facebook and stuff, you cannot believe the Boss Mustang people that have talked about it and how excited they would be to come back to Marysville, Kansas.
And our motels were sold out, that weekend for 2020, unfortunately, before it was canceled, so. And I, myself, would probably not likely be, the liaison for Rick. I've reached out to the Chamber Main Street, president just to ask. I think that biggest task for that person would probably be that communication with you all, with the city and marketing for it. And obviously, if we bring on board, hopefully a new tourism director at some point, they would be helping with that as well. And the tourism board could support it, but, and Greg, obviously, to support that as well.
Move to approve the dates.
Further discussion? My further discussion would be, of course, things are subject to possible, I mean, if the state would come in or the county. Sorry, Austin. If the state would come in or the county would come in and change the rules, if something crazy happens, we might have to revisit. I hope we don't.
And we totally understand that. I mean, that's, you know, we need to get an approval up front, but if something happens, we totally understand that.
We'll just have to communicate then that, I mean, at that point, if the state shut things down, that's outside of our control, you know?
Right.
So, and my guess is if we're shut down, other states and things are having those same,
Right.
And it would
concerns,
be out of
so,
your control too.
yeah.
Everything's been so unpredictable that it's kind of,
Yeah.
always want that on the table.
yeah,
Right.
so.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, well, I will, Greg and I will let Rick know, And then again, we'll, just keep you informed and I will tell him he needs to prepare a formal request for closures and for things like that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else here for public comment? Moving on, the first thing we have on the business discussion items is the Marysville Bark Park Bridge. Here for that. Hello.
Hello, I am kind of just here to answer questions and touch base with you guys. Where we left off, you had requested that we go ahead and get engineered drawings from CES. That took a little while, it was a bit of a process. Then we got rebids from Inline based on those engineered drawings, and there was a price increase on the total project just because more concrete, more rebar, and materials in general have gone up. That's with metal and wood right now, and probably a lot of other things. It's, COVID just increased the cost of materials like that. So it was about 8,000 more, I think, Inline's was. We still have enough money to completely do the phase 1 that we talked about, the parking gravel drive, the bridge, and I would just, I guess that was previously approved, but we wanted to get these drawings and these specs and have Inline redo their bid. So we want to move forward with that and then continue fundraising with our plans for the fencing.
May I ask you to state your name, please? I have a
Wade Maddox.
thought that I wasn't sure. I need to make sure I had it right in a minute. Thank you.
Yep.
Both council have any questions?
I think Inline's thoughts were they sounded like maybe a month or two away. If we tell them yes now, that's probably the case. And I don't know how long production at Landall will be for the bridge itself. Obviously, there has to be something to sit it on first. But hopefully, if anything, that those material costs will go down in the meantime with vaccines rolling out and hopefully things shifting back towards normal.
Well, does anybody want to make a motion?
Move to approve letting Park Committee go ahead with phase 1 of the dog park.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Wade.
Thank you.
All right, next up we have the code director for Marysville Chamber for press.
Hello, council. In case you don't know me, my name is Mandy Cook, and I am the newly elected, newly pushed into forward chair of Convention and Tourism. And I'm just coming to you because we have talked as a board and have decided that it's time to see if we can get a director. But when we started thinking about it, we realized that we're not sure that this is a full-time job, and we want a really good applicant to make sure we can sell Marysville and make sure that people are coming into our town. And so we started thinking, well, what's the #1 attraction in Marysville? That's the Pony Barn. The Pony Barn is also looking for a director, and so we would like to combine these two positions, and that's why we are here. Michelle is kind of the person who has really been spearheaded with a lot of the different things with Convention and Tourism, and then Charlie is here as a representative from the Pony Barn. So I think you have most of the information in front of you, but we are open to questions. Be nice.
Michelle, you're not going to be doing this anymore then?
That will not be me, Diane. Okay, sorry.
No, okay.
I'm gonna leap out with one.
You bet.
When we had Marysville Main Street and the Chamber, everything was a fight between the two organizations. Marysville wanted this, Chamber wanted this. Bike race went here, or barbecue went here. All that did was put a lot of stress and everything on the business people downtown. What organization do I want to join?
Sure.
I mean, go talk to business owners downtown. It was like that. I seen it. I heard it here at council. I'm afraid, we've got a great gal in our office now up there at 10th Street. I think we need to give her a year to get things under her belt. I think she can work with you guys and the Pony Express barn and bring all this together without having to hire one more person.
Thank you for those comments. I appreciate those. The reason why we are doing a little bit of a split here is because Chamber and Main Street are one thing and their focus is one thing. Their focus is downtown and those businesses and making sure that people frequent our businesses, which we 100% support. There was a combination that tried to happen between convention and tourism and all of those, but I think and Michelle may speak a little bit more to this because she was actually more involved. Not actually, she was. But convention and tourism is about bringing people from the outside in. And I have been to the Pony Barn and I love it. My kids have been to the Pony Barn and love it. But we really want people to come into town and stay there. So because the focus is a little different from coming from inside town and making sure that we populate our businesses, and tourism, which is bringing people from outside in. So I totally understand that, Kevin. I was not involved a whole ton, but I did hear a lot of the repercussions, and
Yep.
I'm sorry to hear that. But this is, I think that we have kind of discovered Kate is very busy. She's going to stay very busy. We need somebody to make sure that things are happening that we can bring people in. So that's the reason why, but I appreciate you bringing them up.
And if I may,
bet, please.
I think, unless something would have changed it, my position was already separate from that Main Street Chamber position. I stepped down to pursue a different opportunity, coinciding, quite frankly, in great timing with COVID, because we might not have been able to afford a tourism director at that time. So I think our committee maybe would have been under the understanding that we would eventually replace that position and bring someone in that was focused on tourism. And I was part-time, to fill that part-time role.
As Charles Weichert, as chairman of the Pony Express Board, we are in need of hiring an administrator for our museum attraction. And I envision this administrator position as being a part-time position, and the board will have to hire receptionists that work and keep the museum open as a part-time, and the combination of a partnership between a private nonprofit corporation and a unit of government will require a memorandum of understanding so that we, the board of directors, the Travel and Tourism Committee, and this council can know what each one is expected to do. And as being involved with this Pony Barn, I've come to find out that we've got a lot more to offer this community and take advantage of than we've ever been done in the past. And I see this as a win-win for the city of Marysville as well as a private business in downtown Marysville. And that's part of my reason for trying to say, let's come up with a memorandum of understanding and an agreement on how to get a person that is filling both positions to help our community go forward. Thank you.
Does Boston go to the meetings, or who is our representative from the city? I mean, we never get a report, so I don't know who.
I think it says in there that they're,
And No, I
Yes.
interrupted. You go ahead.
I just,
Yeah.
I think it said in there that they will give us frequent reports, like monthly, if I remember right.
And that's what I always did, Jason. I gave monthly reports to the council of what my duties were, what activities I performed, and kind of updates on events and bus tours and things like that we were attracting. And I just, with the couple hours that I am able to do it in my capacity at this time, I've just not done that, and we didn't have as much to report either. So if you can think back to 1 year ago, 2020 was supposed to be a really exciting year for us. We were supposed to have 3 bus tours come into our community. I worked extremely hard, the tourism group worked extremely hard to attract the first bus tours, that I had made those relationships with. The Black Squirrels on Parade were to be featured in Midwest Living, a huge publication, and COVID turned this all upside down. We were supposed to have Bus Nationals, Beach Boys, in addition to all of the normal events that we have here. And I think that's 3 years of hard work of my position, and even more than that of the tourism committee that we're really working to make those things happen. And I think that's really important as we move forward to fill that role again. Obviously, this time we're looking to make it a dual role, but to fill that role to continue our tourism efforts.
I think we get a quarterly report, but I don't think Austin says anything. I didn't know if he was going to be.
They kind of lost reports when Michelle started.
Yeah.
So they didn't have anybody doing reports. I go to them, give them their financials, but beyond that, they were the ones giving reports. When they didn't have a director, nobody was giving.
Partially because there were no reports to give,
Right.
as Michelle just said.
Yeah.
So you don't have regular monthly meetings?
No, we do. The second
Austin,
Wednesday of every
so
month.
you're going to the meetings in Austin?
I don't always make it. We do the Zoom meetings, and
Yeah.
when I do get a chance, I give them their financials. And then they talk about whatever they have on their agenda.
Many times of which signage in the dog park and things like that we are, that we've, come here about previously.
Go ahead.
As a matter of fact, the Pony Express Board, yes, we do hold monthly meetings, and we would expect our administrator to be able to report what's going on at the board, because 8, 9 guys volunteering, guys and gals volunteering to be board of directors of a private nonprofit corp. We don't always know what's going on. Somebody sitting, opening the doors, the one that knows what's going on downtown.
So if Austin doesn't go, then he should have somebody else in the city go, is that what you're saying?
That would be appropriate, sure.
All right. Well, we can't have a substitute if Austin's not coming. Thank you.
Diane, we are meeting on Wednesday, so I don't know if you're,
What Wednesday?
this, yeah, it's usually the second Wednesday of the month
Second Wednesday?
at 11:30. Right.
It's Zoom right now.
Right, recently it's been via Zoom, just because we feel as if it's more.
Yeah.
11:30.
Yep.
You bet. And I haven't gotten the Zoom link yet, but, Austin will get it, and if he is not gonna make it, then he can forward it on.
Thank you.
You bet.
So the way I read this, you're expecting the convention and tourism to pay $20,000 to $25,000 for a shared director?
Correct, So our goal is to make it a $40,000 job. That's minus benefits, of course, so that makes a lot of difference.
And that was, when I first started, I believe my salary was at 20, and I think it was set to go up to 24 before I stepped down, or right when I stepped down.
Now you want it raised to 25?
No, we put a range in there specifically because we are hoping that we are advertise, as much as we can. We might tap a local person that might be interested in this, like Michelle was. We might tap somebody who's graduating from college. This is right about the time that people newly fresh out of college might be interested in something like this. We just want to make it look as good as possible with, honestly, probably the salary starting much closer to the bottom. But we think that it's important to have a range in there because we want to make sure that they know that there's growth in this job as well.
So the way this is wrote, you're gonna pay them 15 to 20, and the city's gonna pay them between 20 and 25. Is that the way I understand that, the way this proposition's wrote?
The Convention and Tourism Group would pay
Right.
them 20 to 25,
And then
and then the
Board's
Pony Board would pay them 15 to 20.
Pretty good part-time gig.
But
It's not part-time though, it's full-time.
Two part-time.
It's
Yeah.
40
Two part-time
hours,
jobs.
yeah. And I think we're asking for a good skill set of, someone that can do the management, kind of the curating of the museum, as well as the marketing arm that tourism serves.
Pony Express Barnes providing office, internet, utilities, and existing landline.
Providing the office space and utilities is one of the main contributions the barn is going to, I think, help the city with their tourism director position.
Well, I mean, we already do have the building, we are.
Yeah.
The utilities, we already have a building that we're paying the utilities and everything on for office space.
Okay.
And that's
Would
something
they
that,
continue to use that, both offices, or would they?
that's something that we've talked about at our meetings, that we need to have a conversation with Chamber Main Street, because really it doesn't serve as a meeting space for us anymore. I'm not located there anymore. We have some things there, promotional items and things like that, water for events and stuff like that, but really that's quite honestly a storage space right now, because Chamber Main Street has moved the big table and everything up there for their meetings at their facility, so.
Who's gonna pay the benefits
There aren't any.
There won't be,
and, there won't be
I
any-
didn't have any,
There won't
yeah.
be any benefits or FIC and all that, payroll taxes and everything.
We anticipated that, I feel like I'm jumping in here, sorry. The position would be, just like mine was, that they would be contracted with the city, so the city would not be responsible for any sort of employment taxes or anything like that. That's what I was asked to do when I took the position. And just for context as well, we have a computer already. The only, I think, additional expense would be, should we choose to provide a cell phone for this person, which was provided for myself. I was, obviously used it frequently for events and things like that, contacts with tourism professionals and bus tours and things like that. But the computer's already in place. That should be the only addition, I guess.
Further questions?
I have
Yes,
one
Terry.
question there. and I think, is this gonna cause a problem about, every kitchen that has too many chefs, who's gonna be in control? Their word is what.
Thank you very much for asking that question. We've actually spoken about that, and we would like your opinion. Down at the bottom of the shared director structure is exactly what you're talking about, because we thought that as well, with two 15-person boards and another 9, that's a lot of bosses. So we came up with the concept of potentially having some sort of executive committee. And all this committee would do, we don't want to add one more meeting to this poor person who's going to be running ragged as it is. All this committee would do would be in charge of that. They would make sure that there was, how many ever, is it quarterly maybe reviews, or maybe it's 2 times a year. I think that all of that can be negotiated. It would be making sure that if the employee has an issue with some of the boards, there's not communication. They would be kind of the go-between for everyone else But yet, that way, the employee themselves has protection and make sure that they know who to speak to about very sensitive issues. Of course, in general, this director is going to communicate with everybody, right? Email is a wonderful thing for that. But if they are having issues, then these potentially 3 people would be who they would turn to, and vice versa. If the council or the committees, the boards, have issues, then they would be the ones that would be the movers and shakers to make sure that that was taken care of. Does that answer your question?
Pretty much. I think also that if we were going to do something like that, rather than have a either or maybe figures put on this, I think before somebody walks in and starts out here, we start at the bottom and see an approval deal for a period of time before we talk about any big adjustment in this money that's coming forward.
I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I also know that it's important to make sure that they know that there's growth. Our goal was to really hit that $40,000 mark. I think that that says a lot, and I think you're going to attract a different brand of people who apply for this job once you see that we're serious. There are times when this position is going to be working 60 hours a week, and then there are times when it's minus -2 degrees outside that they're going to be working 25 to make sure that the pony barn stays open.
Yes, but I do believe that that could be addressed with an incentive to prove themselves in the position.
I don't disagree with that, and I'm not sure that we are.
And we had a range in there when the position was advertised the first time, the position that I took, and I think that just, allowed us some room and.
Because if we do happen to find someone who is later in life, 55, is ready to retire from their normal job, but has a master's in museum curation, I want to make sure that they know that that we appreciate that, and they're the place for them to apply. I mean, who knows? I don't know who we're going to get, but I do think that it's important to make sure to show that we are really wanting the best.
To improve Marysville Convention and Tourism and Pony Express Board Museum to pursue a co-director.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
2.
Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we had the Salt House Field Light. We had a meeting last week with them. I think kind of worked out questions that they had. We could Next up, we have Resolution 2021-03, temporarily halt content. Zoom.
I'll talk a little bit about this before we go forward. Basically, this is a temporary resolution, as it states, to allow the council to basically conference call in if necessary. There's a lot of communities out there that do this. I pulled this from one of those communities that did this on a regular basis. In fact, their whole commission went conference call for a period of time, and they used this as their temporary rule. There were some more rules outside this they altered, but this one was specific to what we were talking about at this current time. Basically what this says is the resolution mirrors our mask mandate date. So it expires April 1, just like our mask mandate. This would allow, if passed, if anybody doesn't feel comfortable up here, gets sick, goes in quarantine, something like that, can still participate on a full level, or at least during a regular meeting, via, in our case, Zoom, because that's the program we use. Can use Zoom at that point in time and still be able to participate at a certain level. It does talk about executive sessions at the very end. That is a concern as far as, I mean, some of the concerns that were brought up was, okay, can you record your computer while you're at home? That, yes, that is a concern of ours. So if you guys were to agree to this policy, you are also agreeing that if you are on Zoom during a council meeting and there is a need for an executive session, that you would be basically muted and taken out of the meeting. I mean, basically, you'd be cut off like everybody else during an executive session. There is a caveat I did throw in there, and you guys can accept it or change it, that if we knew about an executive session was necessary enough time in advance, and there was somebody who wasn't comfortable with coming in, we could change the venue depending on how important that executive session was, and basically go back out into our closed to the public session out in the meeting space. That way it provides the adequate area that everybody was comfortable with in the very beginning. Again, that's up for you guys to discuss whether you like that or not, or if it's just Zoom I mean, if you're choosing to do Zoom, we're up here. I mean, that's where I'm at with that, but I thought I'd throw that option out for you. So again, temporary resolution as far as April 1 can be reevaluated, allows for conference calling in and voting, and then executive session is you can't do it via conference. Leave that up for a discussion for you.
So you're saying conference call, not Zoom, or are you calling Zoom a
Same.
conference?
It's conference call is the general term for
Okay.
Zoom. And I try to use conference calls since we don't endorse Zoom. I mean, that's the reasoning for my verbiage.
Because you're not endorsing Zoom.
Yeah, I'm not
Okay.
endorsing Zoom.
Because Zoom and a conference call to me are two different things.
Right.
So,
I mean, it's
just the terminology.
just the terminology. We all know what we're using here. We're using Zoom, but again, City of Marysville does not endorse or is sponsored. We gotta work that.
Okay.
Are we talking
Your
about letting you
personal
know?
feeling, how did you think it went back?
There were some issues that I think we've kind of addressed. I mean, we moved the mics up. Played with the volume on the speaker, on the mics themselves. I'm hoping this is coming across a lot better than what it was. And a learning experience, that was the first time we were up here. I think as long as everybody's talking into the mic, I mean, we were told that every time the attorney put his face right up to the mic, it was coming right across. So I got that and adjusted the levels, moved our mics up so we can all understand each other. I'm hoping this is a better situation and we're learning from the last.
So,
So hopefully it's coming across better than it was last time.
Yeah, I think so.
Last time the mics were cut.
Diane, did you have a question?
so are we talking like, we have to let you know a day ahead of time, or in what time frame do we have to know?
If you want to be on Zoom, it takes that day, that day. You can tell me and I set up a meeting, and that's it. It's pretty simple. So that's coming across pretty good.
Yeah, a lot better.
But still got some people saying,
So say we get rid of the mask ordinance, die with it?
Well, you'd have to kill this one too.
But I don't know if it, permanently, I don't know if we want to. But I think with this right, kind of place where if you feel uncomfortable, we'll Zoom. And agree. Ask for Zoom. I want to have as many people part of it, but at the same time, safe. Where they feel as they. And I know
I'm just
I did
gonna
it.
bite my
I know I
tongue
did it.
because I don't
I know
wanna say
well, I know I
anything.
did it last meeting, and I
Here's,
Because all I'm gonna do is open my mouth and get myself in trouble because I don't agree in this Zoom. I think you were elected to be here, you need to be here at this table.
I know, but at the same time, you could already, the Supreme Court's meeting are open. I don't know if there's
And-
anything that's more important probably than the Supreme Court.
Kevin, I totally agree.
So,
But where this one died,
just
that's
temporary
that's the
thing.
only reason I'll look at it. Now,
Yeah.
if this was going to be a permanent, no, there's no way this would
Yeah.
work at all. Because there's too many open loopholes in this that, absolutely. But I also feel that, I think, section 2, where it says change in public meeting, I don't think if you're gonna allow Zoom, there's no way we're gonna change it to be a non-public meeting.
Okay.
I think that would have to go away completely.
Okay, that came through a discussion with another city, leader and how they handled executive session. I mean, just the thought process of, okay, they made adjustments for when that happened. They were making it on the fly, well, not on the fly, with temporary. So, again, if you want to strike that, I think it's okay. It's just with the knowledge that if there is an executive session and you're on Zoom, you are not going to be a part of that executive session.
Right. Yeah. Because I'm with Kevin. You're elected to be here for a reason.
We put all the safety equipment in, fans, the blowers, UV stuff. We're safe here.
Safe as you can be. And honestly, this Zoom would have helped me the most. I'm the one that goes to regular doctor.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that one's not necessarily, if we do Zoom, so that section 2 specifically has to do with, let's say, there's a huge, for some reason we spike like crazy. There's an order that comes down, nobody can meet in person, and
okay,
I can come in and go, okay, everybody's meeting Zoom, there is no executive session in that case.
But and underneath E.
Yeah, we would change E.
After where it says they will participate, that whole sentence, it is known in advance.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna Zoom in and then all of a sudden you're gonna have an executive session, and they can show up to that and they can show up to the regular meeting.
Right. So yeah, we can strike the part of changing, that portion where everybody can physically attend the council meeting. Yep, we strike everything after the first sentence.
Right.
No.
Move this. I'm sitting on top of this. Thank you. I can't believe it. That's just like,
Okay.
We
We're
really
learning.
just gonna have to untape them, let everybody move them when they're comfortable.
That might be a good idea.
Yeah.
And put an X down and then, put. All right. We got that struck out, right, Austin?
Yes. Everything after, so we take out, if it is known in advance that an executive session is necessary, arrangements for the council meeting to be closed to the public can be made so that everyone can physically attend the council meeting. So that is taken out.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2021-03 with the sentences stricken out that Austin just read, and for it to expire April 1st of 2021.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
I'm willing to give it a try. Doesn't mean we can't kill it later.
You can.
If it gets abused, I think it's gonna go away pretty quick.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Shouldn't be here at all. That's my take.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye. Two. Yep.
All right, next up we have Terry Hughes with the digital LED. Yes, Terry?
Yes, I wanted to bring that, like, you guys have all seen it in the package, or in the packet. I was one that stayed home because I didn't want to be bunched up here full of hospice. And I tried that Zoom. I don't recommend it to anybody. That was the hardest meeting I've ever had. I couldn't hear you. You couldn't hear me. There was things I wanted to ask. There were things I couldn't hear what other people were saying.
Yeah.
It was a mess. But I did get part of what everybody said, but not enough to know what they were saying. But when Michelle and Maureen was here about the signs,
Yeah.
I got a chance to say that I wanted, maybe that we ought to have a bid. But this was all done by just one outfit. We never do that. We did that. But the other thing I wanted to suggest is what I put in the packet. And I know, I really know that the people that are going to be sitting in the seats you're sitting in now, whether it's before then or not, and you're still sitting in them, they're going to want to do what these other towns are doing, and they're going to want this informational sign that will coincide with the museum, tourism, and everybody else. It's ideal. This sign doesn't do nothing for our town, except stand up 20 feet tall and says, little in the top says, welcome, Marysville. This doesn't do nothing. Now, if we're going to do something for the city, we need to do, like I showed you pictures in the packet, we need to do something like that where the folks that want to travel and tourism, and then all that stuff to go around, we need to have them, that can be there for them to use to help advertise for all these things you want to do. This LED sign is so far advanced over this sign, it won't do nothing. And I think maybe we ought to visit that part of the sign. I voted the other, on the Zoom, I voted for the signs. On the other hand, I did want to revisit this, and I wanted you all to give it a serious concentration about it and see what you thought. I really think it might be more expensive. It might be a lot less. I did look at different places and saw where there was these LED signs that are down around $5,000. You want to do something nice? That sign was going to be $11,293. This LED thing would be a lot less than that. and be able to advertise for our city.
Well, and I like the idea, but I mean, that's not installation. That's just the cost of something. You still have, well, no, on the ones that you found, that's the cost of the sign, that's not the install.
Sure, there's gonna be
some
installed,
installation
this is an install thing, so we're getting close on figures. So it was really interesting to me, and I know in the next 2 years, we'll either spend money for this sign now, and inside of 2 years, everybody will decide they want to have a sign that advertises for all the things. So I think we should put it on hold about this particular sign, put it on hold, at least make a motion, decide if you all would like to have something better than that for the city.
And after, there last week, I spoke with briefly.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and I don't want to put words, but I kind of pitched the idea to her. She liked it, and what I told her was, we're going to be buying more signs. Start thinking about what to do. Just kind of keep that in the back of their head.
In my travels, what I've seen, like the Blue Rapids sign they just put in down there, the sign itself is not big enough if you're driving by to see all the information.
Yeah.
It's too narrow, too blocked.
And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but some of these signs I think are almost scary, or I mean, almost like a traffic hazard rather than informational. I mean, that may be how they're being used.
Right.
More than it is the sign itself, but I mean, I could see it being nice and flexibility, but I think you're right. I think it has to be used right, it has to be sized right, it has to be done.
There's a lot, because some of them are getting shut down because they're too bright.
Yeah.
And they are creating traffic problems.
I know the one that we have currently at school down, the print on it is so small, trying to, they're trying to cram so much into it. You don't have time to read everything going by it.
But the other thing is, we didn't pay for the 20-foot sign, right? Wasn't that bought by a group?
That was bought by a group, yes. And I've already received the check. They've already paid the.
Wow.
If we would do the digital sign, the ideal place would be at the corner of the highway. But with the proposed intersection changes, not sure that would be a good place for it. So conceivably, if we could do it right, we would need one in every place you're coming into town, I would be thinking. One up on the water tower, up by Hardee's, or one down there and one on the other end of the town. So that otherwise you've got somebody coming from the south, they can see what's going on, but somebody coming the other way has no idea what's going on.
And it wouldn't serve that purpose very well, but one of my first thoughts for a good location would be if we ever actually finish north of the highway, over here by the pony station, 7th Street corridor, because we have right-of-way right out to the highway, get a two-sided one, you could see it from ways away, either the east or the west, and it would be right by the event. And if you wanted to use it as a warning sign for traffic or things, kind of would be purpose that way. But that would be a part of a lot bigger project.
And plus, that kind of a situation would be a good place and a good time to do the kiosk for the chamber and combine all that together right in that spot.
And one of these days, we're gonna have to do something with that intersection space. I mean, I'm sure KDOT will help us with it because they hate it, but I think that this kind of thing might be a good way to work that into.
Well, I just wanted to bring it to your attention, and whenever we do something like that, let's tack this price, pay for this on it, because we already spent that money instead of waited to do it right.
We didn't spend any money for that 20-foot sign.
Right.
There's a group that paid, we didn't spend any money on it.
This time?
Yeah, somebody else bought it.
I misunderstood that because I understood that was the one deal that we were really going to take care of.
The Marysville Foundation paid for that, and they paid me for it already. I've already got the money.
Yeah, there's.
$11,000.
Well, then I hope they enjoy it.
Was
For
it
the way it
22
is
or
now.
25,000 for the other signs that the group
Yeah.
bought?
Yeah,
I mean,
I've
they
gotten
almost
a lot.
bought just as
Oh,
much
yeah,
as
they
we
bought
did.
just about as much as we
Yeah.
did. Yep.
Okay. That's all I wanted to bring to your attention tonight.
And it's a good idea for down the
Oh, yeah.
road
Yeah,
when
yeah.
we go to do the kiosk and where Todd said, I think would be a great location.
Maybe they haven't thought about putting their money to better use
I don't
No,
think that's the right
I'd
sign
say
for
so.
coming into a town.
than that.
And,
Well, but maybe, whatever, that's,
well, the next thing you gotta do is you gotta find out the requirements for the highway.
Right.
Because if it's too bright, it's even gonna make that sign worse. You know?
Just make sure your mic's right at your mouth when you talk.
I just think it's replacing what we have and giving us the same information as what we have in a better style than what we have. And making them all uniform.
And I think that was part of why they wanted that one, because you'll see that one when you enter town, and then you'll be looking for that same style, you know, color palette and everything. After you see that, you'll kind of know they brought.
And to be honest, this Blue Rapids one, they have that, but they also have really nice brick ones at each end, don't they? At least on one side, they have a nice, hey, Blue Rapids, it doesn't have a sign, a motion sign in it,
Right.
so you can do both.
Right.
But if we got one, we'd wanna make sure our screen
Big
way
enough.
bigger than that.
Yes.
Way bigger than that one, because that screen's awful small on there.
Yeah.
Then I think you gotta figure out who's gonna control it, who's gonna put the stuff up on it. You know, you've got a lot of things to consider when you
Right.
do a digital
Yeah.
sign.
But and that's the thing too, the building is some kind where you gotta hook up to the
Electricity.
computer.
Well, electricity and a place for where you're entering all your information.
Right.
And they're nice, I mean, they let a lot of people know coming through town that, hey, in July, they're gonna have this. You know, you can set them up way in advance to let
Oh,
people
yeah.
know that, hey, this town's having this and this and this one, you know, in certain days.
Right.
You have anything else on that, Terry?
No.
Okay.
You guys don't like the idea, that's fine.
No, we like the idea. I think
Yeah.
it's something in the future, you know, we're gonna be buying signs for the next year, probably 2 at least,
Yep.
so. All right, next up, we have the supplemental agreement to the client agreement.
Okay, just preempt this. This supplemental is nothing additional to what we already budgeted in the fire station. This is just clearly writing it out into our contract with BG. And the 5.25% is actually set by CDBG, and they can't adjust that number at all. They just need you guys to acknowledge that it's there in the contract.
Move to approve the supplemental agreement, consultant.
Second.
Any further discussion? Yes, ma'am.
well, where was it in the contract?
It's not in the contract. They need it in writing in the contract, that's all. I mean, that's why it's here.
Well, then it's gonna cost more, isn't it?
No, because they had budgeted, they had lined out the budget that they had presented to the council with this in it. It just wasn't written with this 5.25% in our contract. We've been presented this number before. It just wasn't in the contract. Because it's a separate service from what we originally signed up with. I mean, what we've already signed up with, for, and we've signed different contracts for, was the PER, which is where they help do our application, and then the architecture services where they actually designed that the building itself. And now this is the construction inspection. Where they come through, and it's nothing that they haven't talked about before. It's just not, it just wasn't written out in the contract, so they just needed us to sign off on it.
So why wasn't it put in the contract to start with?
Because it just, I'm not sure. That's just where it was. I just know this number was set by CDBG and required. I mean, they can't deviate from this number. So we were gonna be paying this. I mean, it's just, they need it in writing.
So it's not gonna cost
Not than what we anticipate, no.
not the, this,
No, not that not any different than we already anticipate. We've already seen this number before for construction engineer, yeah.
hey, I've got the contract that they're talking
Right,
about, not in,
that's why it's here. It's in the PER where they told us how much they expected this building to cost. And it's like either construction engineering or construction inspection is what it was lined out at in the budget that they have presented to us.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
We don't have any notice of hearing.
No.
Next up, the consent agenda.
Move to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Yes, sir.
I have one question on the new thing, which I called Cindy today, and she kind of explained this to me, keeping that separate. I didn't quite understand that $5,000 drawing.
This is the consent. That's on the ordinance. That's the next.
Oh, it is? I thought we were, oh, you're talking about the consent.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
that's the one I,
Then I,
Okay.
oh, wait a minute.
the consent is the clerk's report.
Yes.
That one.
Any further discussion? You have anything else, Terry?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Next up is appropriations ordinance number 3740.
Move to approve appropriation ordinance 3741, the amount of $515,486.97.
Any further discussion? Terry?
Yes, I want to ask about that administrative draw on that $5,000 on that phase 2 of the list there.
To the North Central Regional Planning Commission.
Mm-hmm.
That is their fee every time we submit money to pay inline who's doing the construction. For them to administer this grant, this is part of their $60,000. So we'll end up paying $60,000, but in these draws when when I have to give them their money.
And that's going to continue,
Yep, till we hit 60,000.
okay?
Yep.
I understand now.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Hipia, Fry,
Okay.
Proler, Hughes,
Yes.
Bikeman,
Yes.
Price,
Yes.
Barron's, Crom,
Yes.
7-0.
Next up, Steph.
All right, first on the list, I have the wheel loader bids. We were anticipating replacing our current wheel loader this year. Got 3 different bids included for the street department wheel loader. The bids came from Can Equip, Fully Equipment, and Murphy Tractor. The low bid came from Murphy Tractor for their John Deere 524P loader, which was priced at $123,352. After you add the trade-in, extended warranty, service contract, grapple bucket, and skeleton bucket. Murphy also had a comparable model in stock, a John Deere 524L. The in-stock model has a few upgrades that could be useful, specifically heated mirrors and backup camera included in the premium cab, and something additional that I didn't realize was in the premium cab was the better transmission cooler and it has a better transmission cooler and axle cooler included with the premium cab. They said that helps with if you got a machine that specifically drives around in town instead of just being on site all the time, being trucked back and forth. It works better for your in-town travel, which ours definitely goes around in town. We don't put it on a trailer and take it all over the place. It drives itself. And it has better climate control, better dust filtration, and it's typically a $5,000 package. And they only upped it by about $3,000, I believe. The price for the in-stock model is $126,397 and includes the same warranty and service contract as the 524E. We were from comparison, we were recommending going with the 524L, the in-stock version, just because it brings a lot more use, maybe more durability as well for our street department.
My 2 cents is the cooler alone makes that good value.
Yeah, the backup camera's pretty.
That's probably nice too. You have me a cooler though.
Yeah, and Gary specifically spoke of the heated mirrors during the winter. It just, I mean, right now, it would be immensely helpful.
Well, and unfortunately, we do our road our machine a lot because it goes from the city shop, the city dump, you know, especially during the summer, a storm or something. Makes a lot of trips back and forth out there.
Right.
And Mr. budget?
We had it anticipated for, it's destined to be split between general, water, sewer, and some MER. Yes, that is the final price. We got a $62,000 trade-in offer from them. And yeah, that's included because the original base price of that in-stock model was $151,432. The extended warranty is $4,763. The service contract it's a 5,000 hour service contract for $14,552, and a $62,000 trade-in, gravel bucket attachment, $8,750, and then the skeleton bucket, which is something new. We've seen a lot of contractors use.
Mm-hmm.
It's really it really helps when you're working with specifically brick streets when you're ripping them up. You scoop up those bricks, you shake out the dirt, and that saves a ton of time cleaning bricks right there. So that was something new, and that Gary had really been wanting. So we went out and got a price for that too.
I've been having trouble with our other one.
If you remember back, we had talked about how at one point in time it was having issues with oil blowing by, which is a big issue. It hasn't experienced that recently, but that was a troublesome time when the oil was blowing by.
This gets back to the 10 years worth of service.
I think it's an 8-year warranty too.
They want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we buy the John Deere 524L.
Second.
For $126,000.
No, it's $126,397. You want me to list the equipment that we're getting with it? The grapple and the skeleton bucket.
Yep.
Standard warranty, the service contract.
Right. Any further discussion?
Mr.
Yes,
Mayor,
sir. Yeah.
when we get it, is that gonna mean it's gonna come in and we're gonna be using the equipment that comes with it? How much stuff from the old one still gonna be sitting around being in our way?
I don't think.
The stuff, the forks are gonna go with it.
Pardon?
The forks are gonna go with it, because I think it comes with new forks. So I think the trade-in goes, with all the equipment
Good for
goes,
that.
yes,
Okay.
it gets traded out.
That's my only question.
Yep.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Next item up is the Jenkins and Laramie water replacement, water line replacement. Included is the bid tab sheet and a recommendation from Tony Deaver, the engineer for the project, for the Jenkins Laramie water line replacement project. We received 3 bids for the project. The lowest bid came in from Deep Creek Construction at $238,791 for phase 1 and $205,384 for phase 2. When you combine the 2 phases, the total comes to $444,175. I do believe we could fund both of these phases. We've kind of put our water line projects on hold for a couple of years, and we're kind of due. We've built up some money in our water line, in our water fund, and we do have some in our water utility reserve to help pay for this. And I think if we get this done, I think, what was it, about 12 blocks worth of water lines. I think this will be really helpful and move our water lines forward, since we've kind of been at a standstill for the last couple of years.
Is this the one we put off
Last year?
Yes.
Yeah, we put off last year
because it
because we
was
only had,
so?
we only had 1 bid.
And the year,
We put it off the year before too, so we've been out of water line projects for a couple of years.
Do you remember what the bid was, Mr. Austin? I know it was.
We didn't open it.
Yeah, we only had 1 bid, and I think we voted to table it. And
Technically, we didn't open it.
It wasn't 1 year.
Well, that was the engineer's estimate that we went off of, not opening that bid. So in the first year, we tried to do, I think we tried to do phase 2. And it was because it needed to be 100% bored, because of the trees, and it still is. The tree problems that are there, and that one came in quite a bit higher than what we expected.
They plan on boring this, or open trenching, or
There's a
combination?
portion, there's a combination. So for instance, in the base bid, the first line, well, not the first line, the second line, directional drill, 1,858 linear feet is what they anticipate for just the base bid. And then alternate A is they anticipated 2,153 linear feet of directional drill. So pretty much most of the project is, I don't see any open trench.
That means we won't have our streets tore up and things like that, where they have to be patched up, curb line and all that like we have in the
No, there might be some. I mean, not to the extent of a full trench.
Okay.
But wherever they dig in to put their bore machine, that's where they'll have to fix. But yes, we're not worried about Deep Creek like we are some other contractors.
But the minute you tear into the street, you always get settling in the curb line and every place else when it goes back, and then we gotta come back and fix it in 5 to 6 years. So.
Yeah, this is definitely pretty much 100% directional drilling, so boring, yeah.
alternate day, for concrete curb. And then base 11,000.
Guys,
Yeah.
okay. Who did the last water line?
I can't remember. Well, that was the sewer. I think Larson was the last one on
Yeah,
North Street.
it was.
Yeah.
On 8th Street, lower 8th, or lower,
I think they
Lower
did,
north.
yeah. Yep,
So he didn't put a bid in this time?
did not put a bid in this time, no.
because Deep Creek did 12th Street East,
Yep,
and then Larson did 12th Street West,
West.
8th.
correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Move to approve Deep Creek Construction out of Lincoln, Kansas for the base bid plus alternate A in the amount of $444,175 for the Jenkins-Laramie Street Water Line Replacement Project.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion?
They don't have a start date, just yet, but they do have an end date, and I gotta look at, they have to be done by October, I wanna say, but that's not definitive. There is an end date of this year, to get it done.
All right, any further discussion?
Well, the nice part, when they're boring, it doesn't matter if it's raining or not, they can still
Yeah.
pull their line down through it, so.
Yep.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
All right, next one is financials. After 1 month into 2021, the funds are doing better than when we ended 2020. The general fund received the property tax distribution for January. Water fund gained a little, and sewer fund went up a little less than $30,000. Sales tax fund also went up about $60,000. We did have our visit from the auditor at the end of January. Overall, it was pretty good, and I'll let them, when they ever come and present, they'll talk about it. They did bring up how we paid for the swimming pool bond and how we were accounting for the money. They are asking us to do some adjustments now. They are the ones who okayed the process of how we paid for the swimming pool bonds, but they kind of changed their minds. So I'm going to let them present that when he comes up, because he's going to have the changes of how we're supposed to do that. It is going to play with some of our fund balances. Specifically, he thought the sales tax fund would be affected, but we would be paying that whatever adjustment back to the sales tax. So it would be hopefully a short-lived adjustment, however fast we're paying back that loan. So that'll be something that the auditor will talk about, since he found an issue with that. Any questions? And then if there's no questions on financials, I just wanted to remind everybody, the February workshop, Thursday, February 18th at 6 p.m. And just in consideration of COVID, we're not going to be serving food. We typically have a buffet style sort of thing, and that just seems we're not in the right atmosphere right now for it. So just so you're aware and prepared for it, at 6 p.m. on February 18th. And I think that is all. Oh, I do, if there's no questions on the workshop, I will give a little update on the lagoons. I couldn't get it in writing, but I did have a discussion with Daniel from BG about our lagoon situation. He has been talking with KDHE about what we can do. They are softening to the idea of using that area for wetlands out east of the river. They do, if we are going to use it, they said we need to build the ground up. We are gonna have to build another levee out there, basically, I mean, just to hold stuff in. Nothing to the extent of what our levee is on the outside of our town. And we are gonna have to use a liner at this point in time. But what he also said that if we do the wetland, that makes us non-discharging. There is a good chance that we won't have to build another cell at the lagoon. So that liner that is now, he's saying, I won't go into technicalities. He gave me some technicalities, that 1/4 of an inch seepage, I don't know, is what the liner would be. If we don't have to build a lagoon cell like we had originally anticipated, that's quite a bit of money off the bill. We didn't talk any more details. I know we're gonna include the screen, when the project comes around. I'd almost, if the price tag is not too expensive on the whole project, I'd also include probably dredging the first lagoon cell, just to get it going. And Daniel was pretty certain that if they allowed us to do the wetlands, we wouldn't have to do any adjustments on the lagoons itself. No piping or changes or anything like that. As long as the days were lining up as they are right now, we would be good to go.
Yeah, but we're right now in a dry section too.
Right.
Compared
Well,
to when
no,
all the water was going through.
Oh, I know.
Earlier this summer,
Yeah.
we had all the rain and stuff, we weren't getting our days going.
He's got all that information, and the days would include that wetland.
Okay.
So, yeah, it just, because it would also be going through that filter to get out.
Okay.
No, he would make sure that the design would meet the days, and if we're not going to,
Because now we're not discharging anything.
shouldn't be, no. I mean, we might be a little bit, but not too much. So that was good. That's really good news I got today.
Good.
And he wanted to come up for the next council meeting. He's hoping he can make it for that one to give a little bit more thorough presentation of what's going on.
Good.
And that is all I have for now.
Next up, standing committees. Anybody have anything on the street?
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
Our big orange trailer that's sitting out at the city dump, is that true that we've got a tire on it that's locked up? For Landell trailer?
No.
I'd have to check but probably, but that's why it might be sitting out there.
Well, the only reason I asked is because we've used that trailer to go to Gretna to get pipe. We had a sewer project break.
Mm-hmm.
We have to go get pipe and that trailer's down. That trailer was manufactured right here at Landell Corporation. They have a service center just east of Marysville.
Right.
If it's broke, why don't we take it out there and get it fixed so we have it back in use?
I'll check with them. I haven't discussed that trailer with them recently.
Well, like I said, when we need it, we're gonna need it.
Right.
And if it's broke down, we're gonna have to find some way else to get it, so.
Right. Yep.
And I know they haul equipment around on it, so I think we need to get it back into shape.
Right.
Regardless of
I'll
what it's
check.
gonna cost us.
I'll check with them.
Okay. Anybody else have anything on the street?
Yes.
Yes.
Did Roberta T. Meyer call you Austin about a hole out on 11th Road?
Yes, and I told her we were gonna address that. I had a ticket put out for those potholes.
I imagine they can't get that fixed now until
Till the snow is cleared, yeah.
Called, said that she called, that she had problem calling.
No, I immediately had a ticket put together for that.
We're still putting patching that, those out there?
I talked with, after that last meeting where we talked about not doing that, I don't know if we can put patch in it right now, even if we were going to. I think I did talk to them about putting gravel in those spots.
Okay. Anything else on the street? Water, wastewater?
Did we get three, three ordered for the, boat?
Oh, no, that'd be a big,
No,
that'd be a big project.
the screen we're talking about, is a huge mechanical piece of equipment that would basically gather all the junk that comes through the sewer and put it into a trash can. So it's a bigger piece of equipment, and it has to be designed into the system first.
Anything else on water, wastewater? Parks and Rec?
The, Legion Board asked us to take the right field fence from Legion Hall, west of Legion Hall, right behind. Because the memorial wall is gonna be coming in August, and they want that area looking nice. So, instead of repainting it, some of the boards need to be replaced. I think it's better to replace that whole area instead of just repainting the bad board. So, you know, they would probably prefer cedar instead of pine. But I don't know, I don't have a cost for that, but I think that's just something they brought us to our attention that they want done before the wall gets there. And if we do replace that portion, that whole entire fence, it should be replaced before the Legion season starts.
When is the wall coming?
August,
It's August, but I don't remember what the
I don't
exact
know
date
the date,
for.
but I'm pretty sure it's the,
Yeah, I think you're correct, and it's in August.
I was just curious if it comes about any time when Boston National's gonna be, or if that's gonna be a problem.
I can't hear you.
If it's coming the same time as Boston Nationals in August.
Might be.
I think this is already set, but I think it's the first part.
Okay,
That sounds right.
okay. I was just concerned about that.
So does the council want bids to replace the fence?
Well, if we're looking at possibly doing some bigger fence changes anyway, should we look at that as all one project or?
But the ends are staying the same.
Well, I mean, but if we're gonna move it in,
It's still gonna change the end a little bit.
yeah,
Not much, but I'm with Todd. That's the bigger scope project than,
I mean, I'm okay with spiffing it up, for sure,
totally agree.
and definitely cedar,
Oh,
as far as
definitely.
that goes.
Well, cedar last fall.
Last fall, that's what the guys agreed with too, so.
Do we need to see the quote on that, you know, with cedar and stuff like that, or can we just go ahead and do this?
If we're just gonna spiff it up, it would just be almost a facade at this point in time. So if we get some nicer wood to put back in there, get it painted green, because that if we're going to move the fence in, that's obviously a bigger project. That one probably would be a company coming in and doing that as well. And that goes along with some moving sprinkler lines and stuff like that. So, if we're just looking at kind of making it look better for the time being, because more than likely, and we'll talk about it at the budget workshop, is we're probably gonna hold off on lights until after the season's over, to make sure we're out of the way, and the grass has time to grow back, and the field has time to rehab itself, from any of the changes.
Well, I know Brian Frogel called me before we had our meeting up at the Legion there last weekend, or last Thursday. And his biggest concern was, if we do move the fence in, there will not be enough room to have all the soccer fields on Legion.
The soccer fields happened to be painted out there when we were looking at it, me and one of the light guys. And the fence was only gonna be moved in the 20 to 30 feet. And it had some leeway, and what we figured when we were out there measuring is that the fields would be closer, but there would still be enough. That was our initial outlook on that, especially since they already had it painted up.
Who's replacing the light?
You guys haven't decided on that. We're gonna talk about it at the workshop. Yeah. We got some estimates on how much it would cost.
So do we want bids on spiffing up, or is the city guys gonna do that?
I don't like piling
I
stuff on
know,
top
but
of
that's why
guys.
I'm asking.
I think last time when they did some work on the whole entire outfield fence, painted it, they just had volunteer help.
Right.
Okay,
Is that okay if we search for volunteer help for this?
worked for me.
Alright,
I can't hear you either.
go for it.
No, you're not close
All
enough.
right, cemetery and airport? Nothing? Police and fire? Admin and finance?
I have
Yes, sir.
one. I think we got, as far as administration and finance goes, we got to do something about council people being left out involved in productive business. That has to be addressed. Listen to everything
The way I have it set up, and there's a reason why we put a door up, we're trying to, especially during the pandemic, we're trying to limit exposure to our employees. If you really need a serious talk, we can arrange for that, but if you're telling me, for instance, you want something on the council agenda, that's something we could talk about really quickly. We installed the door, so people couldn't just automatically walk back, which there's been a lot of people and I'm not talking about just council members, I'm talking about just the general public, shouldn't be able to just walk back, especially when we're in the middle of a pandemic. We're trying to just limit the amount of people walking through our area, so we're not unnecessarily exposing other people to something we don't know about.
Irregardless of that, we either got to figure out a place to talk to the administration about. If I want to find out about some bills, I don't want a big wheelbarrow full of bills being brought out there, so Cindy and I can talk about it. And when I come in, I've been in the office 4 times since I zoomed that last meeting. I've only been in 4 times, and it's been a case of I stay out while everybody else hooks up their mask, and then they tell you, and then you gotta come out and stand in the hall and talk to us like we're trying for Jehovah's Witness. I don't appreciate that. I don't think any government should have to stand out in the hall and take care of business with the administrator or the clerk. Now, we gotta figure something out, that's all.
Okay.
Hey, Austin, maybe you ought to make an appointment.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point.
They can call down and get an appointment. I don't think that's ridiculous, by no means.
why can't we come in the office? I mean, we're social distanced, put on your mask and come in the office, can't we?
For the aforementioned reasons, I mean, that was the whole reason of putting the door up, is, again, so people just couldn't just, and I'm talking about in general, just going, okay, I want back there. And yes, it's an adjustment. We can come in here and talk if that's what you want. But again, I have 5, 6 employees back here that I have to keep in mind when we're doing this. And I see the outside perspective, the pandemic and all that stuff. I'm concerned about my employees.
When you go to a bank or anything else like that, you go in people's offices, talk to them. You don't go in a bank and they don't come out in the lobby and talk to you. You go in their offices, sit in a chair, you go up to their desk. I mean,
And that's their prerogative.
well, if a contractor comes in or something, do you go out and talk in the lobby to them?
Yes.
The mayor's tail wagging the dog. Councilman, councilperson ought to be able to come in and talk to the clerk about forth like Jehovah's Witness. Now, we've got to do something about it.
We can come right into this. And again,
I think you ought to do appointments.
Okay.
You're busy enough. I don't think somebody ought to just come in on a whim and tie you up.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
If that's in reference to me, I always call before I try to come down and see somebody. If that's the city, I don't walk in off the street.
That's not a reference to you at all. That's a reference to everybody that needs to try and have part of his time. Contractor,
I've always
everybody.
complied to that.
Harry, don't take it personal. It's not.
I'm not being personal, I'm just.
Yes, you are.
Oh, okay. So what's council's feeling? Do you think have people set up appointments with Austin, call beforehand, or at least a bit of a heads up?
I think you probably should have people make appointments, and if they really want to talk, bring them in here so you can social distancing more than you can in your office.
I can definitely do that.
That's all I had to say.
Anything else on admin finance? Okay, we don't have any appointments. Wage determinations, the attorney's not here. Front. Todd?
Yeah, congrats to our new academy graduate, Austin Watts. Good to have him on board full-time now. We brought that up to police and fire. God. No, I think the crews have been working pretty hard, getting our streets pretty clear. I did a little bit of driving places outside of Marysville over the weekend, and I'd say we definitely have it better than a lot of places do. And I think that's a lot thanks to our city crew. So appreciate the hard work. That's all I got.
Okay.
Thanks to the city crew for getting.
Okay. Okay. Keith?
Nothing.
Burger?
I got nothing.
Did we get more compliance with the downtown businesses on the sidewalk?
I didn't look today, but we've been pushing them. I addressed the chamber with them the last time, and they were happy to comply with my request at that point in time. But I did not get a chance. I did not get a chance to look today.
That's all.
Mr. Administrator, I did happen to look today, and everybody wasn't compliant downtown this time, so. Matter of fact, I drove around Sunday and looked, so yes, everybody was in compliance.
Thank you, Kevin.
Because I know that was one of the things I've been pushing, because downtown businesses have not been cleaning their sidewalk. Believe it or not, if you're up 5 or 6 in the morning and it's decent out, there's about 15 or 20 gals and guys that walk up and down Main Street, up one side and back down the other. So that's why I thought it was real important that we get the snow off of that so they can keep walking.
I saw the mortuary, there was about 3 guys out behind it the other day, all shoveling the snow, pushing it off.
Anything else?
I have nothing else, sir.
I mean, I think same thing, thanks to the city guys for getting all the snow moved. So,
Move to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?